Welcome. So far, we have 58 wonderful people here. Hi, Renata.
Hi, everybody. It's great to see you. Great to have that meeting.
Yes, look at all these people. Larry's here, Sarah. Nice to see everyone.
And you have some serious competition. Two Cambridge, Cambridge Club talks about open space. So I know probably a lot of people are torn between those topics. I am.
Well, we're
Yes,
also live on Facebook.
Good.
Tried that before, and we'll be recording this for those people who are stuck in Cambridge.
Exactly. Very good.
and Boston has a competing event too, Moakley Park
Oh,
has
yeah.
a neat discussion tonight.
So I wanted to welcome everyone. We do have a packed agenda, um, and I will let people in as they show up. But here's our agenda for this evening. Really excited to welcome you all for our first annual meeting at Speak for the Trees Boston. We'll be sharing with you our work and our successes and challenges from 2020 and giving out some awards. I'd like to turn it over right now, if we could, to Dr. Atia Martin.
First of all, welcome everyone. It is always a pleasure to see our extended Speak for the Trees family. My name is Dr. Atia Martin. I am the CEO and founder of All Aces Inc. And a proud board member of Speak for the Trees. And today, really, I just want to give some updates on some of our successes this year and some of the opportunities that we've had collectively as an organization to grow, to have some wins, as well as to learn some lessons about how to do this work well. And so, if you'll bear with me, I just want to make sure that I give you the right information. And so, really want to talk about several wins that we've had this year. So, for folks who don't know, we run a summer program every year, the Urban Tree Corps program, and we have teenagers from around the city of Boston who come and support both their own learning, knowledge, and development, as well as the work that Speak for the Trees does out in the community. And part of that is, as many of you are aware, includes tree inventories and making sure that young people are learning about trees as well as about the trees that are in their immediate community and neighborhood. We've also had a major settlement, been a part of a major settlement where Speak for the Trees has been able to advocate on the actual tree inventory that needs to happen in the city of Boston and all the work that they've contributed to that. And so David has been a staunch advocate and leader in that regard. We've also been involved in the Melnia Trees Save the Trees campaign. And that really was about preventing the development that would be extractive of trees along Melnia Cass in a community that's already experienced a lot of gentrification and already has experienced a lot of developments that have taken a lot of green space, a lot of trees out of their community and neighborhood, in addition to being pushed out. And so this really was an amazing experience of Speak for the Trees, partnering with so many different organizations to support the work and to get another victory around making sure that we held the city accountable for how that process happened, and moving forward, being able to be a part of a more equitable process that listens to the voice and choice of the community. So we're going to be disproportionately impacted by those decisions. We also have done a lot of work around making sure that we've provided an educational series so that folks can get closer to information and knowledge around the importance of trees in our communities, but also being able to learn from the community around the things that are important, as well as being able to connect the dots across all of the different work and initiatives that Speak for the Trees has prioritized. All of that to say that this has been a challenging year for many of us for Speak for the Trees. As well. And it's also been a year that has also had some victories and successes. And I think in 2020, it's nice to hear of the positive things that have happened this year instead of some of the usual seemingly unending flow of bad news. So thank you, David, for your leadership. Thank you for the work that you do. I don't think people will ever understand how much you contribute to, or how much energy and time you put into making sure that Speak for the Trees is successful.
Thank you, Atia. And Atia, I was reflecting as we were getting ready for this event tonight, how it was 8 months ago where we were scrambling to pull together our event in March, which was going to be our first in-person fundraiser. And someone reminded me that we were one of the first organizations to really pivot out of necessity into the virtual world. And we've been sort of doing that ever since in ways that I am really proud of, the ways that have been challenging for sure. But thank you for helping guide us and helping us think through that. So appreciative of all your leadership and for taking on, for people who don't know, the position of board chair. So thank you. And I'm gonna share now just a little bit of what Atia said in terms of some of the work we've done this year. If you give me a minute here. So I want to give you a quick update of what we've done in 2020. And then I'm going to give you a little quiz. So this is going to be an interactive session. And if you don't have your cell phone with you, you have a couple of minutes to get it out because it will be an opportunity for you to actually give feedback. So I want to start with our tree giveaways. This was a challenging year, of course, to bring communities together and give trees out. We ordered 150 trees last winter. There are 5-gallon trees, and as you can see here, those are nice sized trees, and the idea is to give them out to community members. And in the spring, we were lucky enough to partner with Keep Hyde Park Beautiful to deliver those trees door to door to residents throughout Hyde Park. And we work closely with Parterre Garden Service, and I want to give them a special shout out for donating their time and energy. They came by and we organized everything with Keep Hyde Park Beautiful, and they had about 9 pickup trucks come pick up trees and deliver them door to door. Quite a service, and it was an exciting day. And then just a couple of weeks ago, we had our other 75 trees to give away, and we worked closely with 4 organizations in East Boston, including NOAA, Eastie Farm, Tree Easties, and Mothers Out Front. And the event was sponsored by Accenture. So I wanted to thank them to give away, again, 75 trees throughout East Boston. These are 2 environmental justice neighborhoods in the city. There are 2 cities with 2 neighborhoods that have low tree canopy coverage. And the excitement on people's faces when they get a tree and get to plant it in their yard is just really, really powerful. And as Atia mentioned, we also had a really successful Teen Urban Tree Corps program. You'll be hearing from 2 of the teens later on this evening. I just wanted to thank all the partnerships that went into that. We work closely with MVision and Everyday Boston to help the teens learn and provide them skills on storytelling. We got a lot of support from Boston After School and Beyond, American Forest, the Greening Youth Foundation, some sponsorship, financial sponsorship as well from Massachusetts Clean Energy Center, John Hancock through their MLK program, and the Boston Youth Engagement and Employment. And then Boston Parks and Rec provided a lot of wonderful feedback and spoke with the teens extensively. So those are sort of our major highlights, but I would be remiss if I didn't also mention our continued tree inventory work. Inventoried over 10,000, or close to 12,000 sites throughout the city. We've created a tree equity map, and you'll be hearing more about that later tonight. As Atia mentioned, we've continued to do advocacy work throughout the city, especially in Lower Roxbury with the Melnia Cass Boulevard project, and continue to advocate for the preservation of over 500 trees along this boulevard as part of our focus on racial and environmental justice. And finally, after we all went remote, we worked closely with folks at BU to create a series of community conversations where we paired an academic with a practitioner, and we called the series Keep Me Curious, Talking Trees. So we had a great time. We started really rooting ourselves in the community, and we feel like the growth of our organization is going to really come to fruition in the spring. But I have a question for you all, and this is a chance for you now to take out your phones and either do a QR code or to go to slido.com and put in the hashtag trees there, and you should come to a quiz. And the quiz is, as we start leafing out next year, when do those buds form on our trees? So take a moment, and hopefully technology will work for you seamlessly. Either take a picture of the QR code or go to slido.com. If it doesn't work for you, we have people in the background here, some of our staff who can help you with some technology issues. And we have 20 people who have voted so far. When do the buds form on the trees? And keep your cell phone handy because we're going to have more fun questions for you throughout the evening. So we have 35 people who voted. Give you another minute here. All right. So the correct answer is summer. And you can go out today and look at your trees and see the buds on them. Trees are right now overwintering, but their buds are there for the spring. So it's a great way to actually get to know your tree, because without those leaves guarding those buds, you can actually see the buds. All right, let's keep on going. I want to welcome today 2 new board members, and I'm going to turn it over to Andrew Drost, who's going to welcome Torianne Green, who is going to join our executive board, and Kim Lucas, who is joining our advisory board. So let's see if we can get this to work right. There we go. And then we need to find Tori. We need to find Kim. There we go. We get it to work. So you should see the 3 of them now. Andrew, take it away.
Great. Can you hear me? David, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Good? Okay, good. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate the engagement. Listen, I'm Andrew Drosty. I'm nominating governance committee chair for Speak for the Trees Boston for our board. I have the distinct pleasure tonight of introducing you to 2 new members of the organization. The first, of course, is Torianne Green, who is, as of this evening, our latest addition to the board, and also Kim Lucas, who we've added to the organization's advisory board as of October. So Torianne and Kim, we're going to make this quick. We've got 5 minutes, so act like we're in an elevator, okay? So to better introduce you to the wider Speak for the Trees family, would love for both of you to give a brief description about yourselves, and maybe Torianne, we'll start with you.
Yes, so I'm a transplant from Virginia, moved to Boston to attend law school at Suffolk University. I currently serve as the lead compliance specialist at a startup, and I sit on the board of 2 other nonprofits, the Charles River Conservancy and the Philanthropy Connection.
Cool. Hi, everyone. I'm Kim Lucas. I am also a transplant to Boston. I've been here for about 15 years, originally from the Bay Area. in California, and also serve on the board of an organization called The Jar, and formerly served on the board of Generation Citizen. And the work that I do in the day-to-day is focused on building partnerships between local governments and colleges and universities.
Thank you both. So Kim, why don't we start with you with this first question? Why is urban forestry important to you?
So for me, living in cities all my life, I think that and having a background in child growth and development, I think that one of the big things that we can do is provide as much nature as we can to folks who live in these kind of very urban environments. And for me personally, it's so nice to have open space, to have green space, and to have trees in and around our built environment, because it just brings that component in.
Absolutely. And Taurine, what about you?
For me, I had the pleasure of growing up in both Philadelphia and Virginia, where access to green spaces and trees were abundant. And my grandmother always reminded me the importance of trees and plants for health of people and the environment. So for me, I just think it's important because, especially for communities of color and disadvantaged groups, it's hard to have that access, specifically as we look at Boston, and you guys have been working in this and showing this. The more access to these green spaces and trees, it overall improves the health and quality of these communities. So for me, that's why it's important.
And listen, there may be some overlap with this next question in your answers, but what interests you in Speak for the Trees, and particularly the mission? How does it align with your own personal ethos? And maybe we'll start with you, Taurine.
For me, it was David. His passion and willingness to learn is what attracted me to Speak for the Trees. I also appreciate his humbleness and eagerness to work with communities of color to better understand and elevate their needs and concerns. I also love that Speak for the Trees is not just about planting trees, but educating these communities regarding the importance of trees and how to care for them over time.
Kim, what about you?
I think for me, so I learned about Speak for the Trees through both Amanda and David a few years back when we were talking about data and urban tree counts. And I think that the idea of the urban tree count for me is really interesting because it really takes the community to be able to get that data accuracy. It really takes each one of us to be able to understand what our environment is really like. And when we do that, what we've seen is that the city and other organizations benefit from that collective understanding. And so for me, that's something that is unique that Speak for the Trees has been able to bring to Boston, and that I'm very excited about seeing as we move forward.
Perfect. Thank you both. And quick speed round, here we go. Last question. What do you hope to see for the future of Speak for the Trees? Kim, let's start with you.
In the future, I just hope to see more, right? I hope to see more folks get involved. I hope to see more folks really reach out and pull in additional organizations that we can partner with, and to really use our community assets all together in furtherance of the mission.
I would second that too. I just hope for Speak for the Trees to continue to build those strong relationships and bonds with the communities that it works with, and using its platform to elevate their voices and concerns, and just accomplish its mission to create an urban forest within the city of Boston.
Well, listen, both of you, we're so excited to have you on both the advisory board and our board of directors. I'm so glad that we had the opportunity to introduce you to our broader family. So thank you all.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So privileged to be working with you both, and you've already contributed so much in such a short time. I'd be remiss to, and I skipped over this, and I got to get better at this. I keep on telling myself. This is a kickoff to our annual appeal, and we have a goal this year. Last year, we were able to raise $15,000 to support our work through 100 generous donors. Our goal this year is to double that, and we are kicking that off today, and you'll be hearing more about our work in the coming months as we work towards year end. So there will be links here where you can donate, and we appreciate any donation, no matter the size. So let's keep on going. Kim mentioned the inventory work. We've done a lot of inventory work throughout the city, focused a lot on environmental justice neighborhoods. And like I mentioned, we've inventoried almost 10,000 trees and 2,000 empty planting sites. You can see our work at opentreemap.org/Boston. That will be shared in the link. And I want to give an award this year. So every tree that we inventory, we collect a lot of information about not only the tree, but the site around it. And you'll notice that here on the right. I want to give, before we go into that, actually, I have another quiz. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. So amongst those 10,000 trees, how many different species do you think make up Boston's street tree population? All right, so not talking about backyard trees, because not all trees will do well on the street. So what do you think? Approximately. Now, some are more well represented than others. And if you're having trouble again, you can use the QR code. Let's see if you guys do better than you did last time.
I say 48. Oh.
Yvonne, 36 or so. Diversity is really important in our urban forest because, as some of you know, we have pests and insects that can decimate certain species. We saw the Dutch elm disease do that when we planted nothing but American elm in our cities. And then we had the nightmare on Elm Street. So I want to celebrate that the city has been really mindful about planting lots of different species. 36 is a wonderful number. All right. So with that, I want to give out a big shout out to our volunteer for the year. This volunteer, all by herself, has inventoried over 3,000 trees and 282 empty planting sites. When she approached me in the spring during COVID, she said, I have a lot of time on my hands now and I want to walk around. And I said, you got it. And in recognition of her work, we're going to be sending her this wonderful book called Bark. Most of you might inventory trees or can tell the tree by its leaf shape. But this wonderful book, really, really magical, gives you a sense of how to identify trees through the bark. So with that, I'd like to introduce Pam, and she'll be interviewed by our TerraCore member, Elizabeth. Thank you, Pam.
Yeah, hello, Pam. It's nice to meet you. You're muted if you wanna.
Very nice to meet you as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for all the work that you've been doing. So we have a couple questions for you, starting with how did you find out about Speak for the Trees?
I think, well, I was looking for some volunteer work to do, and I had decided that I wanted to do something in environment. And so I think I was just searching for environmental nonprofits. I have 40 years of experience in nonprofits, so that's my world. So that's basically how I did it. I think I just stumbled on you.
Well, we're really fortunate for that. What do you enjoy about inventorying that you've done so much this year?
I enjoy several things about it. I'm a museum person, so collecting data and doing inventories and cataloging is sort of a normal part of my world in general. I love getting up close and really looking at trees. They're hands down my favorite botanical item. And I think also the funny conversations I have with people when I'm doing it. People always wait until I've got my arms wrapped around an enormous tree before they finally decide to talk to me.
Yeah. All right. And why do you think inventorying is important in Boston?
Well, as I mentioned, the majority of my career has been in museums. And the one thing you figure out really fast is you can't teach, you can't present, you can't research until you know what you have. And so for working in urban forestry, I don't see how you can plan or organize or think about what's appropriate if you don't know what you already have. So that's why I'm really pleased to be working on that. Let's figure out what we've got so that we can plan.
Yeah, we're getting there. So thank you so much for all the hard work you've done this year. We really appreciate it.
Pam.
Really
Everyone give Pam a big shout out, some claps. So appreciative. And we'll be continuing our inventory work. So if you want to join Pam out in the field, lots more trees out there in your neighborhood. And I see some people here who have done some great inventory work. So I wanted to share with you, I asked some of you to share, we work not only in thinking about counting trees, but I asked some of you to share stories you had about trees, and some really powerful stories came out of that. And I just wanted to share a couple of them here, and I sort of grouped them into different categories. And we work a lot in storytelling, and you'll hear some stories in a minute from some of our teams. But a lot of you mentioned childhood, and I just selected 2 of the 6 or 7 stories that came out. But one spoke about a squirrel family. A lot of you spoke about moments in life, whether they were happy moments or sad moments. And I was reminded of when I went down to the 9/11 memorial, the tree that was there that survived, and then all the trees that were planted around the site in memory of the first responders. Trees are really powerful markers of space and time and memory. A lot of you spoke about family trees, and it's funny, I think all of you spoke, I think there was one person who spoke about their aunt's tree, but everyone else spoke about their grandma's tree. Grandmas, I guess, are really good at growing trees. And finally, trees give us all a sense of beauty and awe. And these are just some of the stories that some of you shared in registering about some of the awe that trees give us. And I think right now is a time for us to really think and take in that awe with the trees around us. So with that, I wanted to turn to our teen program and introduce Ashley Hoffman, who's program director for the past 2 years, and 2 of the teens from the summer program, Anna Pham and Angelica Pham, who will be sharing a little bit about their work. And for the past 2 months, they've been working with us thanks to a grant, a partnership between Bank of America, American Forest, and Speak for the Trees. So, oh, they're here. Hey guys, so good to see you. Take it away.
Great. So hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ashley. And when I'm not working with Speak for the Trees, I am a 2nd-year PhD student at Clark University, and I study forest dynamics. Angelica and Anna, do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, my name is Angelica. I'm a high school senior at Boston Latin School, and I've been working for Speak for the Trees under the Teen Urban Tree Corps for the past summer through this fall.
Hi, I'm Anna. I'm a sophomore at UMass Boston, currently studying environmental science. And I'm also with the TETSI program working this fall.
Great, thank you guys. So I've got a few questions for you. And the first one is, what did you learn this summer about trees in the forest? Angelica, do you want to start?
Sure. Coming into the program, the importance of trees really existed in my unconscious as an afterthought. Trees were there, and though I did appreciate them, I never understood the full extent to which trees really shape our urban environment. However, as I got to delve into the specifics of the eco benefits of trees and the urban forest implications for communities, I achieved a firm grasp of why trees were so crucial to our health and well-being. And it's been really powerful to speak and engage with communities on such an important issue that doesn't really get very much spotlight. And the impact that they have on our overarching community is almost unfathomable to me, as trees intersect with like almost every part of our lives. So by working with Tutsi, I've been able to bring them further into my consciousness. And even as I walk down the street now, I notice trees a lot more and I appreciate them.
That's great, Angelica. Thank you. What about you, Anna?
Yeah, so this is maybe my second or third time working with Speak for the Trees. I worked 2 summers ago, and the program that summer was doing some inventorying, learning about tree species and benefits. So I already had that background coming into this summer. And a lot of what, since we're all inside and we weren't able to do inventorying, I was able to learn a lot more about how interconnected the trees and the communities are, and hearing from residents about their stories with trees, and just realizing just how much we in our communities depend on trees, and we really wouldn't be the same without the urban forest that we have in Boston. So, yeah.
Great, that was wonderful. So what are you all up to this summer or this fall with Speak for the Trees?
Well, we're mostly continuing our work from the summer. I guess it's just a separate iteration of it. We're continuing to interview residents across the city of Boston to gauge their likes and dislikes concerning trees and green spaces, in hopes that Speak for the Trees can use this data to figure out ways to engage the whole of communities in Boston, especially commonly underrepresented ones, in the improvement of the tree canopy. And hopefully by speaking with residents, we can better understand the broader perceptions of the urban forest from the perspective of regular residents. And using these interviews, we're also working on creating informatory resources to bridge gaps in knowledge around the urban forest and its impacts.
Great. Anna, do you have anything you want to add?
I can share a little bit about what we are already able to accomplish or this fall. So last month, the Tutsi program helped organize and host the tree giveaway in East Boston with Speak for the Trees, which is East Boston, one of Boston's more under-canopied neighborhoods right by the airport. And I was able to go there and actually assist in planting some trees, which was a really cool experience because like I just learned about trees 2 years ago, or not just learned about trees, but really about, the species and like all that goes with inventorying. And I just never would have thought that I'd be able to get such a cool experience, being able to like see them actually in the ground, and being able to help the community and add some more greenery next to a parking lot. And so I thought that was really cool. And just being able to help out give away trees was really cool. Yeah. So that's one of the other things that we did.
Yeah, I'm excited you got to do some tree planting. All right. So my last question is, if you were to share one important thing about urban trees to someone new, what would it be? And Angelica, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. I guess speaking to our past work with the East Boston tree giveaway, I'd really love to emphasize the natural air filtration and purification that trees provide by absorbing toxic pollutants and chemicals. Especially as Bostonians, we live in a city, constantly pumping out emissions from our cars, heating and cooling systems, and other services that we use every day without a second thought. And trees naturally combat that. So that's why their presence is so important in ensuring that we maintain the air quality in our cities, especially with the prevalence of smog. And I'd say it's sometimes overlooked as a way to counteract existing air pollution, especially in communities disproportionately affected by it, such as East Boston. I think that's a large reason why we decided to host the tree giveaway in East Boston, because it's right next to the airport. So it is heavily polluted. But of course, it goes without saying that we need to address air pollution at the source as well.
Ah, that's a great point. Anna, what about you?
I think one thing I want to share are like some of the other unseen benefits that trees provide, specifically in terms of conserving energy. So working in the summer, it was pretty clear that we can see how trees and their leaves and the canopy provides lots of shade, which helps cool people's houses. But in the winter as well, that urban trees, when placed in the right location, can also conserve heat for people's homes, which I thought was really interesting because it acts sort of like as a buffer between cool wind and the house. So it kind of helps insulate and like protect your house so you don't have to spend as much on heat, which we know the Northeast winters can get pretty cold. So I thought that was interesting.
Great. Well, thank you so much to both of you. I'm really proud of the work that you guys have done over the last summer, and Anna, for the last 2 summers. And I'm so excited that you are staying on and continuing to work with Speak for the Trees.
I want to give Ashley a special call out. She is amazing. She's taken on so much, and probably the silver lining in the pandemic was that Ashley couldn't go do research out in California. So we got her back in the program. If you have not yet seen the team's work, Elizabeth, would you mind dropping in the link window again, in the chat window, the link to the website? We had some wonderful stories come out of that, and the voices of the teens and the intersectionality between issues of climate change and of racial equity are real. The teens leaned in on that. They asked tough questions. We went in not knowing if the program would work, and so proud of the risks they took. So I wanted to thank you. And I wanted to have a quick shout out to a couple of donors right now. We have Sarah, Amy, Suzanne, Chris, Larry, Diana. I wanted to thank you all. Continue supporting our work. All right, so where are we now? I think we might skip our next poll question. I know you might be bummed, but we got a lot more happening. Oops. So we'll skip the tree memory. We just did that, but do send us an email if you have a favorite tree memory you wanted to share. And I wanted to now turn it over to our allies over in Lower Roxbury. We've been working very closely with a group of residents, the Friends of Melnia Cass Boulevard, and their work has been amazing. And we're going to give them the Tree Advocacy Award for 2020. And joining us today to give that award is our advisory board member, Deanna Moran, who works at Conservation Law Foundation. And she'll be introducing the group. But I wanted to say, Yvonne, you made the front page of the Globe, and your gift from us will be this framed picture. So I wanted to thank you. Yeah, that's you. That's right.
That's great.
And I wanted to welcome not only Deanna, but Nina, Tamikwa, Yvonne, and Kay, who have been at this work for over a decade. So thank you all.
Thanks, David, and welcome everyone. I've had the pleasure of getting to know Friends of Melnia Cass Boulevard over the past year, advocating for tree protection along Melnia Cass Boulevard. I'm thrilled that you guys are getting this award tonight. It's so well deserved, especially Yvonne. So I want to open up just especially for people on the call who might not be familiar with the history of Melnia Cass Boulevard. Can you all tell us a little bit about the history of Melnia Cass Boulevard, the history of Friends of Melnia Cass Boulevard, and the trees along the boulevard?
Wow, that's a tough one. The history of the boulevard. I wasn't here when it started. But all I know is that there were lots of houses. There was a wonderful community, a color community right under, above the boulevard 40 years ago. And that the houses were taken by eminent domain to build a highway. Many people lost their homes. And when everything was all done, activists got the state to use the funds that were supposed to be used for the highway to plant trees along the boulevard. And that's how we have that canopy today. The Friends of Maniacas was a group formed, an ad hoc group formed about 11 years ago when the city proposed to widen the road to install a rapid transit system on the boulevard. And that would involve widening the road 20 feet on each side. And the neighborhood and many activists just reacted very strongly about it. And so the city decided to back down and started looking for ways to spend a lot of money that the state had received from the feds to do road work in the state and to come up with some design that would take care of the needs of the community, so they said. But at every negotiation point, the Friends, the small group of people, I included many times, that at first it included livable streets, it included all kinds of advocates for pedestrians, and it negotiated again and again with the city officials of the Department of Transportation to emphasize the safety of the road and to maintain the trees. And we failed to convince them that this was important. And at every iteration of the design, we asked to stop taking down the trees, and they would say, "Oh, we'll take care of it. We'll do the best we can. We'll work on it," and would come back with a design that didn't take into account our requests. So finally, we were left with a decision that the state took to give the contract of the construction of this design that we have not approved and the community had rejected, to a company from New Hampshire to start in May. And at that point, I had the idea of just making the trees visible. I realized that the trees could not speak for themselves and that we had to do something to make people aware and to get support from outside the neighborhood, because our neighborhood is a small one. Since they took all the houses around the boulevard, of course, you can imagine that we don't have that many people. And in addition to that, we have a lot of immigrants in the neighborhood. That makes it very difficult to organize a large group of people against the cities. So I was lucky to have my friends, the Friends of Maniacas, be behind me, my neighbors who gave me sheets, bed sheets to strip and to put, to make ribbons to put around the trees. And we marked the trees and made them visible so that the reporter from the Globe was able to notice and run a story on it. And the rest is history.
Thank you so much for that history. This is an incredible project. You've done such incredible advocacy. I'm wondering, maybe Tamika, can you tell us about why these trees are so important to the community? Why have residents really rallied around this project, and what do these trees mean for residents in this neighborhood?
I would say the trees are very important to the community based on the history of it being taken away before and destroyed. As Yvonne said, a lot of homes that Black people, specifically in the community, had, personal homeowners were taken away and destroyed. Whole communities were destroyed. So to see this be done again, a second time after the community's already stood forward and said, this is not what we want. And to rectify it, they created the trees. And so to now take them all away and destroy or destruction again, it's like a slap in the face to the community. It's trauma all over again. And so many people who actually survived through their homes being taken are still in the community, are able to say their stories and still upset. And we just want that opportunity, as it was spoken by some of the teenagers, the youth, that being in the urban community, we should have the trees. It's important for us to have that green space, given that we don't have any other places to go. Many people won't be able to come outside their communities. So that boulevard where the trees are, we really don't want to see anything removed, based on the history of it and based on the fact that our community has had a lot of asthma, a lot of health, respiratory issues. We don't live in luxury buildings with air conditioning. So we need these trees, most importantly, to survive in the area, as it was explained, with toxins and poisons, and to conserve energy.
Absolutely. And I mean, this area is also an urban heat island right now. It's going to be increasingly a heat island and subject to extreme heat with climate change. And we know that trees are one of our, best tools to fight that extreme heat exposure. So that's a huge issue. Kay and Nina, can you tell us a little bit about how Friends of Melnia Cass Boulevard has partnered with Speak for the Trees over the past year or so to advocate for these trees on Melnia Cass Boulevard?
No.
So let me say that to continue with Yvonne's narrative, that was what happened last spring. After the pandemic shut down, the state rushed to give the contract to this company in New Hampshire. And it was so clear that it was because of the pandemic and they needed to make it happen before it was, too late. And lo and behold, I mean, this was the lowest point for us, of course, for Friends of Melnia Cass Boulevard. And lo and behold, one day, must have been maybe March, maybe April, we heard from Speak for the Trees. And Speak for the Trees has helped turn around this 9 or 10-year-old effort. And Yvonne said something of interest to me. She said, we negotiated over and over and over with Boston Transportation Department over 9 or 10 years. And Speak for the Trees stepped in April, joined the coalition, took the lead on many things, and really helped revitalize the whole campaign to save the trees on Melnia Cass. We instituted weekly meetings because the sense was, well, there was a great sense of urgency since the State Department of Transportation had awarded the contract. They were supposed to start in May, they were supposed to start construction June, July, and they have not. And that's due to the re-energized, kind of revitalized neighborhood and allies coming together to stop the project.
Great, thank you. And just to wrap up, does someone want to talk a little bit about what your next steps are, where you are right now with the project? I know there's been some comments in the chat asking, where the city of Boston has landed on this, what's happening now. I know that there's a hearing next week. I don't know if you want to invite people to show up at that hearing and provide testimony.
I'll say a few words. This is Nina. I'm green like the trees.
Yeah.
Just to include everyone here from Friends of Melnia Cass Boulevard, I see Sarah and Bill and Ken and Allison and Caroline here, so I want to shout them out because they've been doing the Yo Man and Yo Woman's work of showing up to our weekly meetings, which are very informative, mostly, and not at all contentious. Um, but I definitely want to speak to the history that I was here when they decimated the houses and the trees in Lower Roxbury, dividing the neighborhood between Madison Park and uh, uh, the historic district, Frederick Douglass Historic District. So, and it's a very historic neighborhood that these trees run through. But I think, other than the buildings and the trees, the most important part of it are the people. There was a historic movement called People Before Highways, and this is a continuation of that movement, where the state decided they were going to build a highway extension from the south to the north. But that was stopped by people organizing in various neighborhoods, coming together and fighting for that. But the city and the state have never really stopped, hence the modifications that they're trying to do for 11 years. Thank you, Carolyn Crockett's book, People Before Highways. And Carolyn is a friend, even though she's working for the city now, and the mayor's chief equity officer or some such thing. But what has happened is this fight has continued by trying to improve the Melnia Cass Boulevard. And then the question is, improve for who? And for 11 years, the community has been saying cease and desist. And yet the city continues to find ways to advance this project for the $25 to $33 million, which is attached to perhaps $100 million at the state level. So how might you get involved with this effort? I think there are lots of ways. There's going to be a hearing on the 24th somewhere. I think someone might be able to put that link in, and you can testify as to why the symbiotic relationship between trees and humans should not be disrupted. That we live in a heat island, that we have the highest asthma rate in the state of Massachusetts. So many factors that are going on right there at Melnia Cass Boulevard. So in closing, I'd just like to say that I'm grateful for an organization like Speak for the Trees that has been advocating for some time for the green, the fauna and the flora and the fauna. I particularly care for the inhabitants of the trees, not squirrels, but birds. And so, if you can contribute by interviewing people in no longer than 2 minutes on your cell phone and contributing those interviews to the hearing, if people can't be there, I think it's a real problem that everything is on Zoom and people can't be there in person. Everyone doesn't have access to Zoom or the internet. So how to get those voices in the room. But again, thank you so much, David and Elizabeth and Natalie and Deanna and everybody who has worked so hard. Oh, and Atia, big shout out to Atia. 2 times in 1 week, Atia. So I definitely want to thank you all for your support and your nomination.
Well, I wanted to thank the Friends group. They've been at it for so long. It's been our privilege to be able to work with them and elevate the voices of the community, and that's our work. We are running behind schedule. We have 5 minutes left, and we still have one more award to give and a few more pitches for donations. And I'm going to make one right now. We got some more donations coming in. It's like a telethon here. Take a moment if you could. And I'm going to introduce our next awardee. We're going to skip over this. So this is going to be fun, right? You're going to describe a tree outside your home. We're going to have a word cloud. I don't know if we have time for this. If you want to pick up your phone real quick. Meanwhile, I'll talk over this. You know, when we were thinking about our work, we can think about our work in lots of ways. And you met Pam, who looks at trees around her home, those individual trees. You met our teens who are thinking about their communities. You had a chance to meet Melnia Cass Boulevard, thinking about trees in their community. And our next awardee has done an amazing job of connecting us, not about thinking more holistically, thinking about the work of an urban forest. And I'm proud to announce, and Raquel doesn't know this yet, Raquel Jimenez, who is our next, going to be our next Canopy Award, is getting a prize. And that prize is Information is Beautiful, because the information that she created for us is really beautiful in the tree equity map. And we're going to drop the tree equity map link in the chat window. Encourage you to look at it. But Raquel, just so you know, today our partners over at American Forests took this idea of tree equity and they announced their tree equity score. And the idea behind a tree equity score is every resident will be able to figure out how they score on a tree equity map like yours. We're hoping that they bring that tool to Boston, and you have paved the way of how we can think about this holistically. And to give you the award today is our co-founder and data nerd like you, Amanda Rich. Hi, Amanda.
Hi. First and foremost, I have to say that I'm so glad you got the Information is Beautiful book, because I went to the whole seminar. It was like a 3-day thing and it was amazing. So I think you'll really enjoy the book. But first and foremost, okay, so Raquel, I'm so excited that I got a chance to interview you about the tree equity map. And I just want to tell everybody that you need to go and look at this tree equity map. And I think the link is going to be shared in the chat window, but I highly recommend, taking some valuable time to go and play with it and really go and do a deep dive, because the information in there is fabulous. And so, Raquel, I know that we're kind of limited with time, but I'm going to kind of combine 2 questions into one here. But you've created this amazing tool that really combines really what's like an Esri or like a geographical data-driven tool, but it really also tells this amazing story, kind of history and chronology of trees in Boston. So why did you feel that this was necessary, first and foremost, but also in light of the announcement that Boston is going to be moving forward with an urban forest master plan, how do you want this tool to be used? So kind of a 2-part question. Ooh. I can't hear anything, but
you're unmuted. But
yeah, I think Raquel, I think you're maybe on mute. I can't hear you, but.
Oh no.
Oh no. I think.
Check your microphone.
Hold on. It looked like you just put yourself back on mute, but.
Well, while Raquel. No. Check your microphone.
Oh no.
Where it's coming from. Well, we'll talk for you. Talk about your work while you see if you can fix this.
How about now?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. There we go. Perfect.
Great.
Awesome.
Okay. So, I'm very happy.
Oh no, wait a second.
I accidentally muted you. I'm sorry. I meant to mute myself.
Welcome to 2020, everybody. The trials and tribulations of Zoom.
Unmute yourself, and then I'm gonna mute myself.
Okay.
Are we okay now?
Absolutely. Okay, let's start over. All right. Okay. Why did you think this was necessary, and how do you want this tool to be used?
Okay, so I'm very happy, first of all. Well, I really felt that this tool was kind of necessary. Like I feel whenever we think about green space in cities, like not only, going beyond trees, we really need to be thinking more about the environmental and health benefits that they bring to people, like how they clean the air, how they can cool the hot summers and just improve livability in cities. But I think it's very important that we start thinking about who gets to enjoy these benefits and how the distribution of trees in cities, not just Boston, can actually make EJ challenges even worse. So anyway, I feel like we need to start thinking more about like how trees connect to people and who are these people, right? And in terms of like going forward, I would love this tool to be used by the community to basically drive action on environmental justice in general and tree equity in particular throughout the whole city of Boston. I would love to see community members using these platforms, the maps, the data that's behind these to learn more of the environment, right? More about urban trees, but also to help them think just beyond their backyards and get like a broader perspective on the urban treescape, going beyond homes, you know, to their blocks, neighborhoods, and how that connects with the city overall. And well, again, like more importantly, just help throwing some light into environmental justice challenges, who gets to enjoy benefits, and where are trees most needed to protect health and improve quality of life for everyone in the city. And well, hopefully this can help informing decisions like initiatives and other types of projects, and basically to motivate people and get involved, take action to protect and grow, recover in Boston.
Absolutely. No, I think it's so incredibly important when you talk about the holistic approach and looking at it as a whole. So I know Speak for the Trees will definitely use this by all means going forward. So Raquel, thank you so much. And I'm really excited and I hope you enjoy your new book. Yay.
Thank you, I sure will. Thanks again.
Thank you, Raquel. And Raquel comes to us from BU, where she's part of the environmental health program and part of Urban, which is a wonderful collaborative program. Done a lot of work with them. I wanted to give a special shout out. I don't know if he's here today, to Evan Kuras. We have grown really close. He's the program director, and all the professors there have supported our work. Raquel, I just wanted to especially thank you for going above and beyond. This was going to be a 6-week program where Raquel was going to highlight for us spaces on private land where we could plant trees. And it became this beautiful story map and really, really powerful. This is going to be really helpful because the city acknowledges in their last assessment that most of the tree losses happened on private land. So we now have a tool where we can actually target where we need to plant trees. And I encourage people to look at that. So thank you, Raquel. We're now at the level of the canopy, and we're gonna wrap things up. I know we're a little over, and I appreciate everyone, for those of you who hang around, and no offense if you gotta go eat dinner. So I'm gonna skip this one. Sorry guys, we gotta get to the end. I want to look at 2021, and I wanted to thank a couple more people who've donated. Bob, Ashley, Megan, Mary, thank you so much for your donations. Donations are still coming in, and you know, lots of opportunities in the next 6 weeks to help us reach our goal of $30,000. So looking ahead, we're coming up with a strategic plan for 2021. We want to plant 1,000 trees. We gave away about 500 this year. We want to double that. We want to keep residents engaged. We want to increase the number of residents who take action by calling their city councilors, by putting in a 311 request for a tree. It's also time for us to really think about policies. What are the policies that are going to help increase survival rates of public trees? And then how are we going to achieve these goals of growing Boston's tree canopy? It can't be a single organization. It can't be just the city. Right? The capital we have here is our social capital. The capital we have here is each other. And we need all of us to come together to care for our trees. There are thousands of trees in the city. It's not up to the city to take care of them all. It's up to us. So with that, I want to turn finally to Joe, who is our chair of our finance committee, to just share a couple of words. And like I mentioned to you, last year we had 100 people who joined together and gave $15,000. This year's goal is to double last year's success, both in terms of the amount of money we raise and the number of people who donate. So with that, Joe, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you, David. Hi, everyone. My name is Joe Stein. You know, we're super excited and humbled to continue our work into next year, you know, with tree plantings, advocacy work, policies. As David mentioned, you know, we raised about $15,000 last year from 100 donors. And this year we want to go big. We want to double that. You know, we want to raise $30,000 and expand our network to 200 donors. And I think, you know, there are several ways that you could help. You know, you can make a donation tonight. A lot of you have already done so. Thank you so much. You know, invite 1 or 2 friends to the Speak for the Trees family. Start a Facebook campaign. So there's a lot of ways to get involved, but I just want to close by saying, we have a ton of work that we need to do to build this community asset next year. And, with your help, we can build a sustainable organization. So thank you so much for all of your help.
Thank you, Joe. And as a parting survey, how will you commit in 2021 to our organization? Take a moment if you could, go back to slido.com. You can vote for more than one thing. I wanted to thank everyone for joining. I'm going to stick around for a couple of minutes to answer any questions. But I wanted to appreciate everyone from our board to our volunteers, to our teens, to our growing staff, to our TerraCore members who are working in the background, making sure this event went out without a hitch. We're just 7 minutes over. And I appreciate you all staying. I appreciate your commitment to our shared future together. So be well, mute yourselves. We can chat. I'll stay on board, like I said, for a couple of more minutes and answer any questions. And wanted to appreciate you all. Have a great night.
Thank you, David. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you, Kay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Bill, you had a question before?
I did.
What is it? Go ahead. We got some time.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to remind people that in 2013, do they know of what UNLR under President Nataka Creighton? She was she and others in the group protested their Pat Hoy and them trying to come then and try to take these trees. And I wanted to remind those that are there that UNLR played a very important role with Yvonne and others and Tamika and others, and they made up signs and they went to the meeting and they protested there. And I wanted them to remember that because that was a time when before you guys came, that it was very few people that really, friends of Meniacast and us, and there were very few of us, but when you came, there was a lot of other people that came. And so they made a very big difference. And because they were there, we got to hear, and this is very important to remember because for a long time, it was just very few people. And they thought that they were going to be able to just push this through. They stopped it in 2013, but then they came back and they kept coming back. And so I'm glad that the Save the Trees is involved. And I just want to remind everybody to remember that everyone's role is significant, and staying here in this time is very important for tomorrow,
Thank you, Bill. And I so appreciate your work over the past decade in this as well. I know you've been deeply involved in it. And
well, it was a lot of us, it was many times I remember Aziz and other people saying, come to these meetings. And it was so important that we were able to stand there and hold it till you guys got here so we can hold them off, because it seems like also that Carolyn Crockett spoke for UNLR about 3 or 4 years ago on this very same issue of preserving not only the trees, but the land there that we're building upon. And so this is before she was chosen by the mayor and all the rest of this. And she had a book there, People Before Highways. Nina and others were there. And so it's kind of interesting to see where this is going to go. But we need to remember how many people it took to keep these trees the way they are. And I really hope that you guys will persist on this and make sure that it works and that we actually do get them to stop, because they just seem like they think money can just take anything and do anything. And we're letting them know that money is not all that matters.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Thank you, Bill.
You got it. Hey, I really loved it. You had 80 people here. It was really great.
Yeah.
I just got a new customer, so it took me a little time to get on the Zoom. And so I missed the first part, but I was really happy to see this. And I'm learning more about how to do this. Guys, how do you make these pictures big? I don't understand it. Trying to make your picture big so I can see you.
We'll help you, Bill. We got some young techies in our crowd.
It is confusing. It's
I want to just acknowledge for a minute, the community, and I know a lot of people here are starting to leave, but I want to acknowledge the community that comes together around this, because I think trees have a way of bringing us together in a really powerful way of connecting us with each other, especially in these times where I'm not just talking about COVID right now, I'm talking about the way our society feels so fractured, right? And the way our democratic norms, civic norms are under assault. And it's not a political statement. I'm not pointing fingers here. It's just where we are as a society is how can we find ways to connect with people we disagree with, people that we don't necessarily see eye to eye with, but we're all humans at the end of the day. We all breathe the same air. We're sharing this planet. And I think trees have a lot to share with us on that. So I'm really appreciative of the 80 of us that showed up today, or the 90 of us. I think we're building a movement right now that extends beyond the trees. And I'm really grateful for everyone here.
We all hope so. Yes.
I'd like, this is Ken Crookmeyer. I'd like to join in what other people have already said about how important you and Speak for the Trees have been in helping us coalesce around the issue of what needs to be done on Melnia to preserve the legacy on Melnia Cass Boulevard. The very first thing people said at the very first meeting in 2011, when the city came out with its plans to widen the roadway, was you've got to save the trees. It also went on to say a whole lot of other things, but that was the first thing that was said. It said, don't you remember history? These trees were planted to try to reunite Lower Roxbury. And while that issue remained with us for those 9 years, it somehow or another has never resonated with the city. But it resonated with you, and it resonated with your organization, and you have added energy and ability and knowledge and the work of your interns. And somehow or another that has helped us coalesce the group of people in the immediate neighborhood of Lower Roxbury to be able to speak more effectively. So thank you for your role in helping everybody listen to the tree issue as being a central focus of Melnia Cass Boulevard and of the neighborhood of Lower Roxbury. It's all been very wonderful. All I can say is I sure hope that it will lead to some success in getting the city to say no to the project, to not cutting the trees, and to getting on with making it really into the greenway that Yvonne has been mentioning so often, and which we are finally really beginning to understand as a way of describing a way of thinking about that section of Lower Roxbury as something that unites us all.
Hear, hear. Well said, Ken.
I hope it does work. This is Carol Blair. I know if once we get off Melnia Cass Boulevard, that area is so important, and it's urban renewal is coming that way again. So we need to figure it out.
I just want to say I so appreciate Yvonne folding underwear right now. Gotta get your chores in sometime, right? Well,
listen, David, but before I go, from the board perspective, listen, and for everyone else's edification, David certainly does not do the month. This is not making him any sort of a rich man whatsoever. And the dedication and effort that I see, which is a fraction of what he actually executes in behind the scenes, it empowers me every single time I see it. And if you all can sense that, even just to a small fraction or degree, even just in this conversation, it's because we have an infectious leader in David, and I just wanted to communicate that before I left, and how proud I am of you and seeing the growth of this organization over the last 2 years. It's extraordinary, and what a great way to end our annual general meeting.
Yay, yay. Yes. I want to say yes. David is inspiring. I will say it.
Here, here.
Thank you all. And I want to say that there's actually a movement afoot across the country. It's not just here in Boston. This week is actually, when we scheduled this annual meeting, I looked at my calendar and go, oh no. This week is actually the National Partners in Community Forest meeting. It was supposed to be in Louisville. Dozens, if not hundreds of people joined together to talk about urban forestry and community forestry. It's online this year. I know the staff at our organization was able to attend. We work with Arbor Day, we work with American Forests. This is bigger than us, this is bigger than me, right? This is a forest we're looking at, and we need to come together in Boston, in greater Boston, across the country to really figure out how we deal with some of the biggest challenges we face. And trees aren't gonna solve them all. I'm not, claiming that, but I think they play an important role in us reconceptualizing our future together. So I want to appreciate you, Andrew, one of our first board members, and all the other board members are here, all the volunteers. This is what I wake up every morning really happy to be part of a community like this. So
lovely.
I'm gonna go have dinner.
Okay, team. I'm gonna go eat some dinner. I suggest everyone do the same.
I appreciate you all. Thank you. See you next year, if not before.
See you, fam. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, Natalie and Elizabeth. My mom's still here. Ima, Sean.
Thank you, Elizabeth and Natalie. Yes.
Thank you. We're here.
Hi.
Hi, we loved it.